So I spent my last 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in Cincinnati visiting my sister. But so with that, UVA doesn't play till next Thursday, and we got Champ Week here, best time of year on the sports calendar. March Madness next week, conference tournaments happening right now, and so driving to Cincinnati and then driving back home, that gave me 16 plus hours in the car to just watch basketball, to watch games, to think about games. And so there's a few games that I watched snippets of, I watched entireties of, and just, other notes I've taken about other games, other conference champions already that have punched their ticket to the big dance. And so that's just what we are going to be talking about, just what I've watched over the last couple of days. So with the A-Sun title game, you had Queens and Central Arkansas, and this what I'm gonna start out with is just one of the best things for me about the conference tournament week is when you turn on your TV and you see these mid-major teams playing in these games, and like you don't really know a ton about them, and there's always been. I can name players from past years that I've watched from these mid-major conference tournament games, these mid-major conference title games. There's always someone that has an electric game. There's always someone that's showing up for their team, showing up to win the game. And you had two of them here in this game. For Queens, it was Chris Ashby. He had 34 points. At one point, they flashed on the screen. 10 for 19 from three. I mean, we could talk about the 10 threes that he made or the 19 threes that he attempted or the fact that he shot more than 50% from it. And then on the other side for Central Arkansas, you had Hunter, who had 49 points. 17 for 30. That is the most of any conference title game in 30 years. He had 49 points on 17 of 30 shooting. That is ridiculous to have two of these guys in the same game. And so this is now the first tournament appearance for Queens since joining D1 4 years ago. And just I think they really had to grind this one out because they had a lead. They were up by 9 with under 2 minutes to go, I believe, or around 2 minutes to go, and they tried to give this game away. They had a multi-possession lead, and just with 2 seconds left, Central Arkansas came back, scored that shot with 2 seconds to go, and they send the game in overtime, but Queens is able to rebound. Queens is able to, and they struggled because part of what got them back into that game was the turnovers that they had on inbounds plays, on just those crucial possessions, which allowed Central Arkansas to quickly get back into the game through chaos. And you were worried about that in overtime, and it happened a little bit in overtime. But Queens was able to hold on, and Queens gets their first tournament appearance since joining D1 4 years ago. Central Arkansas, who's the 1 seed in the tournament, is out. Now, UNCG and Furman. So I really watched the final 2-3 minutes of this game, and one of the crucial plays of that game, the commentators talked about it a little bit as well, was the travel that they missed. At first I thought maybe, but I wasn't in full agreement with the commentator at the time. But then when they showed the replay, it was pretty obvious. He moved around, he established his pivot foot, and then he completely slid it, kind of picked it up a little bit off the ground, off of a double team. It was able to get the ball away, but maybe should have been going the other direction. So that led to a foul by UNCG, went up 77-72. But on the other side of things, what kept UNC Greensboro into this game, which, by the way, they're 15-18, really not supposed to be winning this game. Marville had 3 threes, and he hit one to make it 75-77, and he just hit 3 successive 3-point shots to keep them in the game, and just UNCG's final possession, that was an opportunity to tie the game, to keep them in the game, to try to send it into extra frames, but it wasn't a good possession. They'd been able to get down, get clean looks off before, but they were unable to do so. Furman is heading back to the Southern Conference Championship game. They'll take on East Tennessee State, and that game is today. Just for reference, this is being recorded at 11:36 Eastern. But anyways, so Furman is back in the title game. Obviously, I know a lot about Furman from 2023, very unfortunately. But so they will be looking to get back in the tournament and see if they can recreate some of that magic that they had 3 years ago. Now, we talk about as well with them, Alex Wilkins. He's a freshman. He, just the trust that Bob Ritchie had in him. I mean, chose him to lead the line, didn't go for a transfer portal guard that was going to be the starter. He stuck with Alex Wilson, and just he again, this is what they talked about a lot too. He makes mistakes. Obviously, he's a freshman, but one of the things that I noticed is because they were talking about that so much, is that's what I honed in on and focused on. And he made mistakes, but he did a good job of not repeating the same mistakes over and over again, and just he was able to play with a lot of poise, and just so that was part of what that was. And he had 33 points for them, and just clutch shots, clutch free throws, really played like he's been there before. So Alex Wilkins for Furman is going to have to play a big part today against ETSU if they want to go back to the tournament for the first time since 2023. Now, the Summit League title game, I mean, NDSU rivalry since 1905. It's their 314th meeting, if I heard that right. And NDSU, I mean, just they dominated the 2 regular season meetings. And just going into this, you talk about Grayson Ullman. He's a freshman. He's from Minnesota, redshirt freshman. He's been their leading scorer all season long, and just the guy just became so much more important in the tournament itself. Just absolutely needed if they were to pull off the upset. And just he shot over 70% in those 2 games, 41, which in one of them in the quarterfinals, which was a tournament record, and 28 in the game before the championship last night. And so it's just like, the main question for me became, who is the other guy? Who could the other guy be for them? And that ended up being Zach Kraft, who had a couple of donuts in their other 2 games, but had 19 in this one. And so just he'd been a crucial shooter for them all season long for North Dakota, but he hadn't been able to hit one. He was 0 for 7 in the tournament, just hadn't scored any points. And so, but he was able to turn that around and get it going, just which was needed for them, but obviously fell short. But NDSU, Wheeler Thomas is their leading scorer. Tay Smith had 28 last time in this game, or in the same matchup, and Stefanowicz had 20 the game before that. So I mean, they're a little bit more evenly distributed in terms of players. Ullman, like he's an inside out type of guy. He likes to go inside. He looks inside first, but can shoot threes. He just does a lot of splitting defenders, getting into the paint, and he scored the first 6 for them, I think. And so you're thinking, oh, maybe it's going to be another one of those big nights for him. He ended up having a really good night. But I just think one of the things that, and this ended up being the icing of the game, is when not the icing of the game, icing of the first half, is when he sat down with 2 fouls. It's just a good example of it. And then he came back about 5 minutes later with about 30 to 40 seconds left in the first half, presumably to try to get a good shot up, try to get some points before going into the locker room. Had the ball, turned it over, turned into 3 points for Tay Smith, and just that put them down 8 going into the locker room. And so I just think some of the times you just need to calm down, pass the ball a little bit more, and just be a little bit smarter for me. Is obviously he's definitely the backbone. He's their leading scorer. He's just prolific. He's been so good for them and just absolutely central to everything North Dakota does. But just I think some questionable decisions, and just it definitely, I wouldn't say it necessarily cost them the game, but it kind of cost them the game, if you understand what I mean. Just so obviously he's crucial, but just some of the decisions that I think he made definitely didn't cost them the game, but it had an influence. Started strong for NDU, and you knew that that's what it was going to have to be. But once the game started speeding up, they missed 9 of 10 shots. North Dakota State started hitting some threes, hitting shots, and just I don't know what they prefer, but they definitely showed during the season that they can deal with high-scoring games, shooting threes, and that got them up. That got them the early advantage after the early onslaught by North Dakota. And just with 6:15 left when Ullman went to the bench, NDU had some looks, couldn't hit, and just I think the guy for NDU became also Anthony Smith. I just really liked his energy with Ullman on the bench. He kind of became the main facilitator, main guard. And so just like I mentioned before, NDSU go up by 8 at half after the Ullman turnover. And just one of the things that you look at for the first half was Tay Smith had 4 threes for North Dakota State. They were dominating the bench scoring, shot 52%, 7 for 14 from 3, and just capitalized when North Dakota missed shots or made mistakes. And North Dakota was not able to do that on their end. And just they showed why they have the slight upper hand. What was impressive for NDSU is the first half was different from the second half, and they were able to show that they were the better team, that they were a really good team here, and that they deserved the spot in the tournament. Nothing doing was really going the first 10 minutes of the second half, and I feel like that's what you would want if you're North Dakota, because they're high energy, disruption, chaotic, defensive style of play, and just overall style of play, but they couldn't really take advantage of it, weren't really getting shots to fall for themselves either. And I just think it was a backbreaker for them. Ullman got in a spurt later in the second half, and he hit some good shots for them, and just North Dakota got themselves back into the game, and then a big three. That's just what it felt like. North Dakota would get back into the game, and then there'd be a couple possessions, a shot or two that NDSU was able to reestablish their advantage. And it was the same thing super late in the game. 7-0 run in 48 seconds for North Dakota with about a minute left to play. Then Feddersen came down, had an open three at the top of the key, knocked it down, made it 66-59 with 51.6 seconds to go. And so I just think NDSU had different guys step up at different moments, and we talked about Tay Smith in the first half. He didn't score in the second half except for free throws. And so that became Wheeler Thomas. His downhill ability, just his flashy inside scoring game, 12 points in the second frame, some clutch buckets in the closing minutes as well. And so it was a little bit more of a spread for them. It's just different guys step up, different guys hit clutch shots when they needed to, and that's what ultimately kept them ahead and kept them in the driver's seat in this game. And so I just think, despite the two blowouts in the regular season, including one just a couple weeks ago, I think we knew this game would be tight. First half was all gas. Second half was relatively similar in terms of feel, but scoring came at a lot more of a premium, which gave NDU an opportunity, but just ultimately weren't able to do it. And just NDSU showed why they're the better team, and just on a couple more occasions than North Dakota was able to stamp their authority on the game. And so MVPs for me, obviously Grayson Ullman's the player of the tournament. I don't know if that's how they do it, if they have to give it to a winning team, but he's the player of the tournament for me, and just was so crucial to their success. So I'm interested to see if he comes back next year to North Dakota. On the other half of things, DeMario Wheeler-Thomas was really, really instrumental in that second half. He is probably the Summit League game MVP for me. I don't know who won it, but he is the one for me in the game last night. So NDSU is now going dancing as well for the first time since 2019. With them going dancing as well, we talked about Queens and a couple other teams, but some of the auto bids that have happened so far, again, this is now as of 12:09 EST on Monday. So the Big South, that is High Point, they defeated Winthrop. Is back-to-back tournament appearances, 3 regular season titles in a row with 2 different head coaches. Alan Huss is now the head coach at Creighton. He took them to the tournament last year, and now they have Flynn Clayman in his first season, and he will be going dancing with them as well. And so in the Missouri Valley, Northern Iowa defeated IUC. Belmont lost early, lost by 21. And, this sparked it. I saw it this morning. Bruce Pearl was talking about it and when they were talking about this tournament as well, and just the 1 seeds losing. Should the 1 seeds get more benefit of being the 1 seed, being the best team during the regular season? And he talked about it with, should they get automatic road to the semifinals? And, it's interesting because obviously it's not going to be universal what teams do or what these conferences do, because they operate on their own thing. They can really do whatever they want. Like, look at the Sun Belt tournament and with what Georgia Southern has been able to do. But just generally, look at that tournament. It's a freaking triangle. But with that being said, it's just like, I don't really think that there's an issue with the current, because they all get advantages anyways. Like, you look at most of these tournaments, you got double buys and it would just ruin I feel like it would ruin the opportunity. Part of why we love this week, we love the unpredictability of this time of year. And so I don't think you should, because then I don't think it's necessarily the same thing, but it's almost like saying 1 seed should get a bye in March Madness. No. So it obviously 16 seed upsets don't happen that often, but I'm just saying is we love the unpredictability of this time of year. So I think the way conferences do it is fine. The 1 seed and 2 seeds and in the bigger conferences, 3s and 4 seeds get the advantage. They get the buys. They get the double buys, right? So I think it's completely fine how it is. Anyways, but Belmont went out early. This is going to be Northern Iowa's first tournament appearance since 2016, where they were able to grab a win over 6-seeded Texas at that time, and they finished 6th in their conference this season, but they will be going dancing for the first time in 10 years. In the Northeast Conference, you have Long Island, who won their semifinal matchup, which is going to get them the bid because Mercyhurst is ineligible given that they have transitioned from Division II to Division I. They're 0-7 in the tournament. It's their first time since 2018. Over in the Ohio Valley, Tennessee State will be making their first NCAA tournament appearance since 1994. Their head coach, Nolan Smith, is in his first season, and so that is a really impressive feat, really something to look at, because you look at a lot of these other schools. College of Charleston obviously went down. We look at College of Charleston, you look at Furman, you look at some of these other schools that have become pipelines for coaches to go to the higher levels, and just these schools that have become powerhouses in a way, in at least in recent history, or have gotten head coaching jobs elsewhere, whether recent or whether over longer periods of time. It's these specific same schools that have been able to do it, and just Tennessee State hasn't been one of those schools, and so that makes Nolan Smith's first season all the more impressive for Tennessee State, and they will be back in the big dance for the third time. But those are the champions so far. Those are some of the things that I've seen, and obviously one of the things we can close on is CAA tournament. UNCW is gone, College of Charleston's gone, and neither of those games were close at all. So that's we're in a really good spot for March, I think, at this point. And I'm most looking forward to tonight is with Georgia Southern, and the fact that they have won 5 games and they have the opportunity to win a 6th as a double-digit seed in this tournament and make the big dance, right? And so I think this is really, really exciting for me. It would be the first time in a long time, or if ever, that someone's played 6 games back to back to back to back to back. And I'm rooting for them. I root for the underdogs. And so, again, I have no affiliation with or hate or reason to support or reason to hate Georgia Southern or Troy. But I just want Georgia Southern to win simply because this would be a story. But yeah, that's what I've seen so far. That's what I've paid attention to so far. It's just I could sit here for an hour, 2 hours, and talk about it. But we will cut it off there, and hopefully I'll be back at some point during the week. But that is Champ Week so far, and we've got some champions to crown tonight and in the coming days. With especially now, we look forward to the big the Power 5 tournament beginning. But that'll do it for this. And subscribe if you enjoyed, and just comment. Let me know what to do better, what to keep going with. But anyways, that'll do it. I'm Preston Green, and I'll talk to you all next time.